Hello, my name is John Green. I'll be your moderator for this presentation, and thank you for joining us for important COVID-19 response resources for GIS and the PSAP. Just a few housekeeping notes here before we begin. Just want to let everyone know that we are recording this, and all attendees are muted for quality assurance purposes right now. We only have a short amount of time today, and so I want to try to answer questions as they come in. So as you have a question, please go down to the Q&A box and type your question in, and we'll try to address that during the presentation as well. So I'd also like to introduce you Mike King with ESRI. He'll be the presenter for this webinar. And Mike is the Director of Fraud and Emergency Communication Solutions at ESRI. Now, before joining ESRI, Mike completed a 28-year law enforcement career and was promoted through the ranks of city and county law enforcement, and finally retiring as the Chief of Staff for the Utah Attorney General's Office. And I'm going to let Mike further introduce himself a little bit and tell you a little bit about how we did this presentation and some of the perks about it. Take it away, Mike.
Thanks, John. Hello, everyone. I appreciate you taking time out today to share some time together. We tried something a little different, so I hope this works out okay. We decided to record the presentation in advance for a number of reasons, and the primary one is my bandwidth in Utah right now is not too good with all the school kids, I guess, at home. But we hope you're doing that you're all doing really well through the COVID experience, and that your family, loved ones, and coworkers are well. We'll just go into the video. We'll answer questions later, and I hope this works out great. Thanks again, and we really appreciate Datamark for inviting us to join with each of you. Have a good day. Well, I'd like to express my gratitude for the invitation to participate in this virtual conference, an opportunity to bring together commanders and staff from command and control centers and PSAPs around the United States and throughout the world. My name is Mike King, and I serve as a director for Emergency Communications Solutions. I also oversee our fraud, waste, and abuse efforts at ESRI. This is a unique time for all of us, and I am intrigued to get feedback on how this virtual conference turns out for each of you. It's unfortunate that we can't network together and sit and have lunch, but this is a great way for us to explore some of the challenges we're facing. I've been asked to specifically talk about GIS for PSAPs and include some things about what we are doing to try to help with the coronavirus situation. But first, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself. I had a friend many years ago who died, and he wrote a song called Bits and Pieces. A line from that: I am bits and pieces of everyone that I ever knew, molded by friends and strangers alike. Maybe I have touched a few. Mark died of AIDS. I had no idea through my high school years and through college that he was gay. He contracted AIDS when all of this broke and died many years later. But one thing I did remember is that I have had a passion to try to learn from everyone that I've come in contact with. Many of you are people who have been mentors to me, and I really appreciated that. I wanted to let you know I was born in the 50s to a single mother who raised 4 children on a secretary's salary. I married the love of my life 42 years ago. We have 3 children and 4 grandchildren. I spent 28 years as a police officer and was trained as a criminal profiler by the FBI. 2 of my mentors, John Douglas, who is actually the Mind Hunter, and the popular Netflix show Mindhunter is written about his experiences, and Greg Cooper were the two profilers from the FBI who trained me and helped me to understand that art and science. I retired as a chief in the Utah Attorney General's office, but I had obtained a graduate degree and have been mentored by some of the greatest policing minds in the world, like Chuck Ramsey or Jan Graham, the Attorney General I served under in Utah, Chief Art Acevedo, who is the Houston police chief, and the president of the Major Cities Chiefs of Police, has been a great friend and mentor over the years, as has Dr. Harold Burstein, who really taught me and helped me to understand criminal behavior, the leader of the Harvard University Psychiatry and the Law program, and a brilliant mind. When I retired from law enforcement almost 15 years ago and came to ESRI, I met a remarkable man in Jack Dangermond, and he taught me a very simple statement: be interested and not interesting. And I have tried to do that. And as I've traveled throughout the world to law enforcement agencies, to PSAPs, command and control centers around the world, I have gained some valuable insight that has helped me to mold many of the areas of focus that this presentation is going to concentrate on. So I thank each of you for being those bits and pieces that have helped me to better understand how GIS can support you in your PSAPs. I'm going to cover briefly 4, maybe 5 areas as listed on the slide that you're looking at: address data management, digital transformation of data, 2D to 3D migration of GIS data, web applications, and especially how COVID-19 examples can help you today, and then how you can use insights to understand the metrics within your PSAP. But let's start off with addresses. The foundation of everything that we do in PSAPs relies upon a dispatchable address. And in the United States and abroad, we're pretty darn good at using street centerline data to find a point on the map, but too often that data ends at a jurisdictional boundary. Our goal in the last couple of years, and continues today, is to help us move from not only being able to find areas that are outside of our jurisdictional boundaries, but to get beyond just looking at the centroid or the center piece of a piece of parcel property, but to be able to look at things and say, this is the particular unit within a parcel that we're trying to send our first responders. And then more importantly, that as we embrace the Z-axis data that's becoming available, that we can do that in a 3-dimensional way as well. As we begin to master some of those challenges, we can then start doing things like providing reliable routing. But again, all of it boils down to a dispatchable address and an address data solution that helps you be next generation compliant, whether it's 911 or 112 or whatever the number is that you use in your individual jurisdictions or countries. ESRI released last month the Address Data Management Solution. It's a tool set that includes workbooks and data to help you get your address data into a next-gen compliant database. The neat thing about this is it's based on NENA's NG 911 standards. It follows in the United States the US Postal Service's recommendations for addressing, and it supports maps and applications in a way that we haven't been able to do in the past. We really encourage you to download this free data management solution if you're an ESRI customer. If you're not, we'd be happy to talk to you about how to help you get licensing to be able to access that. And we're going to talk about some free licensing that's available right now because of COVID in a few moments. But address data management, again, is the foundation of everything that we do. And we encourage you to look at the addressing tools and make sure that you're compliant as we move toward next generation 911. This brings into mind the next important thing that GIS plays, and that is the digital transformation of data. No longer should we be relying upon data that's uploaded at a periodic time into your dispatching solutions or into your CAD solution. We are recommending that you geo-enable your data in a way that it can digitally transform your environment and feed the PSAP more quickly, so that as an address is updated in the database or an assessor's office creates a new subdivision, that data, as soon as it's found to be authoritative, is immediately published into your system. And then it becomes available to your enterprise so that you can use it for a number of things, as we're seeing in this example from the Department of Homeland Security, or here, the ESRI's Living Atlas of the World, that provides incredibly nice content for mapping and being able to solve problems. We hope that you'll seriously consider the experience of creating a hub and digitally sharing your information and managing it. It also gives you the ability to choose when and when not to allow people to have access to data. As part of that, we're becoming much better through this digital transformation of managing all the internal sources that we're used to. For law enforcement, it might be like we see on the screen here, of warrant data or the records management system or the CAD system. It could be the address database or the location of CCTV or fire hydrants. But as we look at that and bring together the Internet of Things sources like social media or live weather feeds or live traffic feeds, we can begin to bring this data together into an ArcGIS environment where we can then share it out and get it to the officers or the firefighter or the EMS worker in the field. I come from a farming family, and my grandfather always said the most important thing to farming is getting water to the end of the row. A police officer shouldn't have to wait until 8 o'clock in the morning when a crime analyst arrives at work to get the information on sexual predators in a neighborhood where a child has come up missing. That data should be at their fingertips immediately. In keeping with this digital transformation and the management of data, I just want to remind you that we really do at ESRI believe in data and open standards. Open source creates some cyber terrorism challenges for you in the PSAP environment, but open standard data where you can share data and understand it and manipulate it and use it or repurpose it is really important, and we should all work toward open standards and open specifications. But again, we recommend some caution as you look toward open source solutions, especially as it pertains to things like GIS that might attach to your 911 system. I love a quote from our president that we realize that good ideas come from many places, and we're excited to see how our users can customize and share their projects with open source software. Another really important thing is data and security. And again, in this world that is threatened by cyber terrorism, especially in our PSAPs, we want to encourage you to take very close stock of the way you're doing things, and if you're opening yourself up to cyber terrorism. ESRI takes advantage of the newest and the best security tools, and we encourage you to look at those as you explore how to manage that. Let's change our mindset for a moment and talk about this really interesting thing that Z-Axis is going to bring to our PSAPs around the world. First is the fact that we have some challenges both in policy and in governance that need to be addressed, and we encourage you to start thinking about what you're going to do to require three-dimensional information to be consumed within your CAD system so that you can find an apartment in a high-rise building or be able to understand elevation either above terrain or below. We provide tools for you to migrate your two-dimensional data to 3-dimension as shown in these examples on the screen. You can see in the top left and top right where we simply have the ability to start understanding space in 3D. The bottom left, we can start to solve problems like the route of a dignitary as they travel through a city and the areas of threat by snipers or places to put anti-sniper positioning. All of these tools are available to help us not only understand our environment, but to be able to, once the 911 packet includes Z-axis data, be able to mitigate that information and provide information to our first responders. This will help us in indoor location and routing. It will, and today gives us the ability to collaborate with building information models, and in all should give us the ability to solve problems much more quickly. Our research and development lab took some data from San Diego and created this dashboard that shows calls for service coming in with a Z-axis, and simply taking the certainty range off of the mobile device and using that to simulate where the caller is coming from. In this case, the southeast corner of a building in San Diego, somewhere between the 3rd and the 5th floor. And to not only be able to show those kinds of locations, which is revolutionary when you think about it, but it also gives us the ability to then include some other geoprocessing tags like tasks like being able to provide routes from a location of an event to the nearest hospital, or provide backup officers with a way of knowing the best route to come into an area to solve a problem. These are really great examples to see how 3D is impacting and preparing us for Z-axis data as it comes to the PSAP in the coming months and years. Another example that I like is just the ability to build web applications that can solve problems. In this example from the city of Philadelphia, it's using CAD calls coming in the center left side of the screen, and those are streaming in real time, but it's also accessing public data like Waze data. There are metrics across the bottom to give us a feel of what's happening in the city, and in the bottom right we can see one of the 969 cameras that are in this particular system to manage those. We can see citizen tips that are coming in through the 211 system, and we can see the city of Philadelphia's road department as they're showing in the upper right corner the current road closures in the city that could help us in routing first responders. There's a queue across the top that shows how many calls are waiting, how many have been dispatched in, how many have officers on scene. We have created APIs and SDKs for developers to go in and build applications that are wrapped with your coding and our maps. These apps are proven on FirstNet, Verizon, and Sprint T-Mobile, and they work on iOS and Android mobile platforms. So it's a really exciting time to know that these web applications can solve problems. In Philadelphia, they also use a situational awareness portal that functions also as part of their CompStat process, where they can go in and understand crimes that are occurring by district to district, events that are occurring in the last 24 hours, and notes to the shifts or squads that are replacing them. This real-time data is becoming incredibly valuable in solving problems in real time and can be, again, available in the mobile unit by either a mobile device or the mobile laptops in the vehicles. We're seeing agencies take advantage of our web applications to solve simple problems. I've shown this before, but I really like it. In the city of South San Francisco, officers were preparing to go and canvass an area on an old unsolved serial killer case. And within a couple of hours, the GIS manager created a mobile app that could be used on any mobile device, and enlisted the officers to collect the information via their mobile device rather than calling in locations to the dispatch. With that, they created this live dashboard that showed changes in the data as they searched the area, asking people if they lived there during the time of the event, if they remembered anything, and if they'd be willing to talk to officers. In Ogden, Utah, a jurisdiction and a real-time crime center that serves roughly 225,000 population, they've taken data and put it into a dashboard that can be viewed on laptops, iPads, or on mobile devices, and in the dispatch center that provides real-time information about what's going on, including being able to access third-party applications like Google Street View. Not only does it provide this information in 2D, but it also can provide the information in 3D. And here we see examples of vehicle locations of police cars and fire apparatus as they move throughout the city, updated in 5-second increments to be able to keep track of all of the assets that are available in the area. These web applications are helping agencies solve problems in a way that they haven't been able to in the past. And again, can be provided in both a 2-dimensional or a 3-dimensional view, as we can see here, looking at the city of Ogden. Now, as we talk about these mobile apps, I want to take a minute and talk about the coronavirus and our contribution to public safety. As soon as the virus was manifest in China, ESRI began working with the World Health Organization and with Johns Hopkins University to create maps and provide daily real-time data updates as to the number of infections that were going on across the globe, including a way to track the community creep of the disease as it traveled. This virus hub gives you access to GIS assistance, tools to get started, to get data and to get updates. It provides you a link to get applications and dashboards that you can immediately put into play in your PSAPs or share with your administrators. It features databases that are COVID information and the latest news and updates. Let's just take a look at what the hub is looking like. You'll notice at the top, there's a place where you can request assistance. If you don't have ESRI software, we're making it available for 6 months for anyone that has a need that fits certain parameters. So you can go into there and check that. We're looking quickly at the World Health Organization's map that's using these resources, both within the hub or going out to World Health and looking at from their website. We're providing you with tools to get started, to grab data, and to get updates. It's an easy step-by-step process where you can go in and map the cases, map the spread, map vulnerabilities, and gain huge amounts of data to help you launch your own coronavirus response hub. We even give you access to things like webinars where you can go in and see how to deploy the solution and take advantage of these tools that are now available. If you have ESRI software, you can go in immediately and start downloading them and taking advantage of it. In addition, there are all kinds of articles and white papers to assist you on the challenges and assist you in getting additional data sets where you can go in. We're going to talk about the infographics in a minute, but again, we encourage you to go to this website. Here you can take and look for any country in the world that has created a web dashboard or states within the United States that have created those. And we're now adding cities as they put those in. So if we were to look at the state of Colorado and look at both the public facing and the other maps that are created, we can see what's happening in a state specific way and get a feel for what each state's doing. There are a couple of other really nice examples I want to share with you of maps that have been created in the state of Utah where I live. We're able to go in and look at things where the real problems seem to be generating in high population areas like Salt Lake or surprisingly Summit County, but it's where Park City is. And there's a high number of people traveling in and out during ski season that created a coronavirus spread. We can look at Johns Hopkins map here where we can see active cases and total confirmed cases. We can look at the day-to-day accumulation of cases and see how this is growing as we try to flatten the spread. Private security organizations are taking advantage of these data sets to create dashboards. In this case, a home products solution company in northern Utah is using it to keep track of the virus spread and how it impacts their production facilities. In each of their production facilities, they have nearly 1,000 employees, and they're monitoring them each morning as they come to work, taking their temperatures, providing them masks, and trying to protect their employees on the line. A map like this has been incredibly valuable for them to be able to understand what's happening around them and what's happening globally. We also took advantage of looking at this same information, but putting it into a map showing all of the PSAPs in the United States. And how many PSAPs are in each individual county is a really nice map to look at. But as we dive into the data, we can see with the yellow backgrounds how many coronavirus cases are being reported county by county. And again, this helps us understand the spread as it moves from location to location. From these sites, we can also include other things like the U.S. government site or any other educational material that you might find useful. We hope you'll take advantage of these. We hope that you'll use them. Now, as we move from the hub itself, let's look a little bit at how we can leverage GIS to understand the data that we have within our PSAPs. And ESRI has a solution called Insights for the PSAP, which gives you drag and drop capability to look at your data in real time and be able to manage that information quickly. Here we see graphs being dragged into place, maps that are showing us physical location of events, and we're seeing other data brought in and used in this environment. This is a way to manage big data in an easy to use format, in a big button way, so that you can allow people to explore the data, to conduct analysis, to put the data into context, but to really deliver insightful results to those at the end use stage. Now, as we think about coronavirus, we also have made a number of things available for you. In this particular case, let's look at our infographics that are available for immediate use, again, on that Corona website, and it's listed on the far right. This is data that's currently available for the United States. It's state-specific, and it's updated daily or as regularly as the information comes in. The data is accessed through going to a map and selecting the state that you're interested in. Here we'll look at California, since this is where your conference is being held, and we see this rich infographic detail that comes up, giving us the state that we're considering, the population of the state. We can explore that data more closely to look at things like the breakdown of the population, elderly versus younger. We can go from there into things like the Hopkins dashboard to look at the data. We can explore other pieces of data and look at histograms and other kinds of information like this age pyramid. There are 2 pages to each of these. They provide rich content that you can use in your PSAP for education or to share with your command staff or leadership. We hope that you'll take advantage of these resources. We stand ready to help you in any way. I'd like you, if you could, to take a screenshot or a picture of this screen so you can get my contact information. You'll see on the right-hand side the COVID Resources Hub, where you can get more information. You'll see our disaster response program, and we encourage you to be part of this bits and pieces resolution by joining us in solving the problem. I wish you the best of luck in your conference. I hope that this information was valuable and look forward to the time when we can actually rub shoulders and network together. In closing, please reach out if I can help you, and enjoy the remainder of your conference. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mike. We are right on the hour too, so I'm gonna leave it open for just a moment or two. I know there's still some questions coming in, and I know you were able to answer a few of those as we went through the presentation there, but do want to thank everyone for attending this presentation. It was really a pleasure to have Mike here with us, sharing his knowledge and his background. And also want to go ahead and invite you guys to the next event here, and that is catastrophic events. Is your PSAP ready? And that's presented by our very own Bob Murphy here at Dangermond. Mike, any closing thoughts or?
No, I'm just responding to the last little comment. Thank you so much. It was really fun to be with you, and I hope that worked out well. It was sure nice for me to sit back and relax during the presentation, so thanks.
Absolutely. Mike, thank you so much. Again, a tremendous amount of knowledge there, and I really appreciate you helping make this conference a success. And everyone else on the line there, really appreciate your participation and helping to make this conference a success as well. We certainly have enjoyed putting it on and hosting the event, and we hope that you're gaining some insight and some knowledge from it as well. We do have a couple more questions. If we're not able to get to those before I close the session here, we will follow up with you in email. Just make sure you have your email included either in the question or in your registration, one of the two. We will follow up with you. But I'm going to have to go ahead and close because we do have another presentation coming up, and I don't want to bump those guys off. But thanks again, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Enjoy your week, and most of all, please stay safe. Thanks. Bye-bye.